One of the most important things you could ask yourself is so what? And that's especially true when it comes to these reviews. When I'm going through the lyrics and trying to figure out what this person is actually trying to say in their music, I think to myself, so what? That is what determines whether what they're saying matters or not. Because believe it or not, one of the biggest turnoffs for a lot of people, especially for mainstream music, is the subject matter, especially the lack thereof. Not only that, but it also comes to the originality in the subject matter. And is this thing something new? Is it bringing something unique? Or is it something you've heard a million times before? It is extremely easy to say nothing at all. It may seem obvious to a lot of people, but that's one of the biggest issues when it comes to reviewing an album. What are people actually saying? I want you to seriously think to yourself for a second, why do you think that Chris Brown album was hated by literally everybody? Concepts and tropes are only interesting when you actually add stuff to it, when you're adding your own personal experience, your own thoughts, when you're only restating a statement without adding anything of your own. You might as well have never said anything at all. Let's take the concept of a love song, which is probably one of the most used concepts in songs in history. Why is it still being used today? Well, because people keep adding to it. There's new twists on love songs every single day. That's why the Olivia Rodrigo album is so popular, because of the twist on the love song. Literally everybody knows what a love song is, so had it been just a normal everyday love song, everyone would just kind of look at you funny because you didn't add anything to it. If all you do with a concept such as love is just say, hey, I'm in love, that's my song, no one's gonna care. That's why when Chris Brown did this for 30 tracks, nobody really liked it, because he'd said nothing for over an hour. And this is what I'd like to coin the mainstream R&B crisis. You see, a lot of R&B artists today, especially mainstream ones, think to themselves, well, how do I make another love song with this smooth beat? And that's precisely where the thinking stops. A good example of a recent album that really falls into this trap is this album by Ella Mai, where she has a really good start, but you swiftly realize that she has nothing to say when it comes like halfway through the album. Another great example of this is definitely Kehlani's album, her self-titled project that released this year. And I know none of you heard it, you know Folded and Nothing Else. But while it is a good project, a common complaint with the album is that it is just the song Folded and a bunch of other songs that are the exact same song as Folded, just not as good, because the concepts that were added to the love song trope were just not nearly as interesting. Not only that, but when every single song starts to fall into the exact same drum pattern, the exact same vibe for every song across all these albums, you start to see why R&B is not in the same place it is today as it was before. Because like looking at the top music right now, do you even remember that Brent Faiyaz album? A lot of people don't. One of the most interesting takes on the R&B love genre that really should have failed, but became one of my favorite projects of the year, is This Music May Contain Hope by Ray. This album is amazing just because it takes the concept of the love song, which is so overused, and strips it down to its bare bones state. It's the most simplistic written album pretty much ever. But where it blows you away is that it's presented as a melodramatic play. And it's done so well that you're almost distracted by how simple it is. But she presents it in such a complex way. There are more unique ideas put into a song like WhatsApp Shakespeare than literally any other album I listed previously. And that's literally just one song. That album is 4 acts long. But outside of exceptions like that album, I hope you can understand why I say that R&B, especially in the mainstream, has such a crisis right now. It almost feels like people are so scared of innovating that they'd rather just see the entire genre just kind of go to waste, not really try to push it at all, and just relegate it to having one TikTok song every now and then pop off, and then just that's about it. R&B, one of the most powerful and moving genres ever, with some of the most influential songs and artists and albums ever in history, relegated to mall music. But when the world needed her most, Kelela comes out with her album New Avatar and takes those boundaries and just pushes them to a new state. Professional Kelela critic here, and I've always been a fan of Kelela ever since I've heard her feature on the Gorillaz album, Humans. where she actually has a collab with one of my favorite rappers ever, Danny Brown. And it's such a wacky collaboration, but it's one of my favorite songs off that album. One of my key takeaways from that song though, and even up to now, is her ability to perform on a hook. Her hook game is some of the catchiest choruses I've ever heard. And what's funny is that this is another love song, but the way that she expresses the concept is immaculate. It's this kind of breakup song that's also extremely upbeat in this very gorilla style, of course, but also when she's going from the lyric of "what you're not around," which is like shouted, but then she goes immediately into a high-pitched, quieter "but I hope you see," and then the juxtaposition of both of those ideas right next to each other, like, it's great. It's amazing writing. If you want to check that out, that song is called Submission. It's one of my favorite songs off that album. An underrated album, but that's a complete side note. But like, I wish we had a whole album of that song. Wait a minute. New Avatar is an album centered around that idea of love, but there's a dark twist to it. For example, the imagery on a song like Point Blank, where she's using the imagery of the gun and the bullet setting her free from this toxic relationship. There's also the wordplay in a song like Crystallize, where she's talking about twisting the knife, and this is all in service to the entire point of the leaving a relationship, that feeling of putting this toxic relationship behind and trying your best to move forward, which is all throughout the album. And it all finishes also similar to that Olivia Rodrigo album, where she just leaves everything behind. She says, "I'm just done with it, I'm giving up." There is no happy ending. The technical happy ending is that you actually just gave up on everything. It's a very bleak record, and I really do love it because there's also this really nice experimentation with this grungy rock sound in it. The guitars on the intro were something I was not prepared for when going into this album, but I could not be happier. And that's another thing I really love about the album, is because of how experimental it wants to get with its sound. It's not afraid to make you uncomfortable. And it's also not afraid to just completely disregard its tone. On a song like the second song of the album, the tone of the drum patterns and the overall kind of like dancey vibe to it does not match the subject matter at all. That being said, it still makes for some of the catchiest songs on the album, and again with the hook making genius of Kelela, it's amazing and extremely catchy. It's one of my most played songs off the album. I feel like the only track that's on this album that really didn't need to be here is the song Against Me. Every time I get to this portion of the album, I just kind of want to skip this and get to the next one, because there really isn't much use for this song here. It's just kind of the same song as the ones previous, and it's like, it really doesn't need to be there. I originally wasn't a fan of the song At a Time with AK Paul, but it grew on me, especially the AK Paul verse, because it starts off a little weird, but it's done on purpose. So I do like that one. And the song Retaliation Lullaby, the lyrics for that are amazing, but at first I also thought it was kind of a sleepier song, you know, go figure. But when I played this actually while just walking away from the beach, it's a peak beach walking song, so I like it for that reason. Then you have one of the biggest bangers off the album in Link in D, I think is how you say it. And the only thing wrong with the song is that it's way too short, and it is a crime to not have the song go for at least 10 minutes. The drums are so sick on this song, and that vocal sample towards the end, it's done so well. And the fact that it doesn't go on longer, that one breaks my heart. You get a Fouché feature that starts off pretty good, but then the subject matter just kind of goes all over the place. Like, we're just, going from one thing, and then all of a sudden we're just talking about how our nipples are getting hard, and I'm kind of checked out at that point. But then you get into the next song and you get this Pink Pantheress feature that feels perfect for this album, and they have such good symmetry. It's one of the best songs off the album for sure. And then, as I said earlier, you end everything off with the song If We Meet Again, which is kind of self-explanatory in what it is. It's basically her just telling the love interest of the album. She's telling that character, if we ever meet again, I hope you have the stamina to say goodbye, which is kind of crazy. Like I hope you're able to actually let me go. And it's this style of writing and the willingness to get deep into these feelings that you don't usually want to talk about, or things that aren't talked about as much, like these very specific feelings, that makes this album so fun to revisit. While there was a low point or two on this album, I'm more than happy with this album. Honestly, I was not expecting such a kind of daring album to be put out when R&B is in the spot that it's in, and I'm really hopeful for other artists to actually get out of their comfort zone the same way that she was able to. And maybe we'll also get artists taking her style of wordplay and imagery, although I don't really have my hopes up, but we'll see, hopefully. But as of right now, this is one of the best mainstream releases of this year, and off the top of my head, probably the best R&B project of the year. Therefore, this album is an 8.5 out of 10. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you would have rated it in the comment section below. Give me all your recommendations for things that I might have missed in the year, and let me know all of your questions, comments, concerns, thoughts, rants, or raves, and I will catch you in the next one.